And as one of the leaders at Maxwell Youth, I'm proud to say that I've been able to watch seeds of leadership sprout in young minds and young hearts. My name is Rachel Grace. I am your friend. But between you and me, I am much more interested in being a mentor to the youth today. Thank you. The reason why I'm here today is because I want to share with you the vision that we have for the future. We believe in working with kids who are 12 to 21 years old. And it's not because I don't like adults. It's actually because in 20 years' time, these kids will be the future leaders of Indonesia. And in 20 years, when we reach Indonesia Emas, our golden anniversary, we need leaders like them to rise up. And so, to illustrate that, today I just want to tell you one story about a girl who changed my life. And she's actually in the room today. I don't know where she is, but her name is Michelle. Michelle, if you're hearing this, I'm so proud of you, and I want to share with you today, so please don't be embarrassed. Michelle, I met you a couple months ago at one of our Maxwell Youth camps. And it was just by chance. I didn't know her before I met her. I was just assigned to be one of the leaders of the groups of a bunch of sixth graders, really. And I spent a couple hours just observing how they reacted to the content that we were learning, how they were responding to the discussion that we were having. And I noticed that Michelle, who I call Chella, I noticed how she took a lot of notes, really diligent. And she had a lot of things written down in the reflection box. But every time I asked people to share, it felt like she lacked the confidence to speak because other people were talking. And so, at the end of the day, I had this instinct, right? So I walked up to her and I said, Chella, hold on for a moment, okay? Hold on. I want you to reflect on what we did today. I want you to think about what your experience was like today and what you noticed when I was your leader. Think about what I did for you or said to you that made you feel seen, heard, empowered. And the reason why I'm asking you this is because tomorrow I want you to replace me as the leader of our group and do exactly that thing. Now, Chella was 11. 11 is a really young age. I could see like the shock and the horror on her face just frozen. She was like, and so I trusted in my instinct, and the next day I literally sat her at the head of our table, and I just sat back and I let her lead our group. I said, I'm just gonna shut my mouth. I'm not gonna say anything. And you know what's ironic, guys? That day, that morning that I asked her to lead, I couldn't keep my mouth shut, and it wasn't because I wanted to say something, it's because my jaw was dropping. Chella, overnight, turned into what seems to be a completely different person. She was making eye contact with everybody at the table. She was leading discussions with this loud and clear voice and this confident expression that I hadn't seen yesterday. And what's important is not that I was the one to talk to her, because I didn't teach her anything. I didn't tell her to do anything. I didn't tell her to make eye contact. I didn't tell her to ask more questions. She did it on her own. And when I think about Chella, I'm reminded of two things that I learned that day. The first is that leaders are born when they think about the needs, the wants, and the aspirations of others. And for Chella, she had a pain point. She knew what it felt like to be somebody who wasn't heard. For somebody to not be confident in what they want to say, she knew that feeling. And all I did was water a seed in her that had already been there. It was already there, I just watered it for her, and she turned into a leader that was already inside her. The second point is that few leaders are successful unless a lot of people want them to be. And for Chella, I was that leader that inspired her. But 7 years ago, I was not the same person. 7 years ago, I was given a similar opportunity to stand on stage for 7 minutes, kind of like how I am right now, and I got to be mentored by my dad, David, my papa. And so I spent 4 months, guys, 4 months every day. I was practicing and revising the same script. And by every day, I literally mean every day. I think I may have spent like tens of thousands of hours, because we would be at home and I would be practicing, we would be in the mall and I would be practicing. And true story, once Papa asked me to stand next to a boat engine and yell every single word of that 7-minute speech. And I love you, Papa, but oh my God. All that preparation led up to 7 minutes. But behind that story, there's one story that people don't really know about me. And it was the day before I had to deliver those 7 minutes, the dress rehearsal, where I stood on stage to do a mic check in front of an empty room, and I broke down. You know why? Because in those 4 months, I actually never realized that people had to listen to me talk. Ooh, shocker. I didn't realize, I'm serious, I didn't realize until I was standing here, and I was like, oh my God, that's a lot of chairs. So my dad saw that expression on my face, I'm sure, and I say that because what he did is he came on stage with me, and he said something that I'm never ever going to forget, because it's a moment that changed my life. He did not say, Rachel, it'll be okay, which, you know, it would be nice to hear sometimes, but he didn't say that. And he also didn't say, if you're not feeling okay about this, then you don't have to do it. Which he's never said, ever. And he probably never will. He's not that kind of guy. Instead, what he said is, Rachie, I want you to look at the front row of seats. The one right in the middle is where Papa is going to sit. And as long as you feel nervous, you just have to look at that spot. Because Papa will be clapping the loudest and cheering the loudest in the whole room. So, you guys clap, but I don't know if you were in my position, I don't know how effective y'all think that kind of pep talk would be. Okay? And I say that because I don't think he even knows this. The next day, when I was on stage, I completely forgot what he said. I was still nervous and I was still crying and I was on stage and I was talking like this. But the reality is that I would not have been standing on the same stage the next day if he hadn't said those words. If he hadn't said, I'm sitting right there, just look at me, just look at me. 4 words. Without those 4 words, I wouldn't have stood on that stage. And without those 4 words, 7 years later, I wouldn't be standing on this stage today sharing our stories with you. That's why I have to tell you guys, I have to make you realize, and I hope you realize, that every garden has gardeners. Every student has teachers. And for every leader, they need leaders too. They do. So I'm looking at a room full of leaders today. And without looking to your left or looking to your right, if you're listening right now and you feel like, I'm the kind of leader that wants to raise more leaders, I want you to raise your hand. I want you to raise your hand and raise it really high and be proud of that, because this generation of leaders, they're going to be the ones that lead our next generation of leaders. If you raised your hand, then I hope that today, when you listen to this 18-year-old lecture you, I hope that you catch what I'm trying to say, which is that we need more leaders. We need more farmers who want to plant seeds because they can see a vision of a forest in 20 years. We need people like that. So if you are someone like that, then I invite you to join me, join us. There's a QR code. I promise you, if you scan it, you don't have to pay me anything. You don't have to pay anything except your heart, except your commitment and your eyes and your hands to work with the young people of Indonesia today, even if you can't see the results tomorrow or the day after, because it will be because of you that we can raise a legacy of leaders in Indonesia. Thank you.